30 years in childcare, I've experienced it all. The laughter, the challenges, and the burnout. I'm Debra Rinell, and I'm here to share the realities of childcare leadership with you. Starting as an unexpected entrepreneur facing the pressures of leadership, I've been through the same struggles that you are likely navigating today. More importantly, I discovered strategies to not just survive, but truly thrive in this rewarding field, and I'm ready to share it all with you. Ready to elevate your center and reignite your passion for childcare? Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to CARE4Method. I'm your host, Debra Rinell, and I have been asked by our marketing team, headed by Monica, the amazing Monica of Hendrickson and Company, to give you a more in-depth, to devote an entire podcast to talking about the CARE4Method and explaining it. We have different things on our site at My Childcare Management Solutions that you can go in and look at. You can even download a free template of the CARE4Method. So what I'm going to do today to give them a little kind of voiceover of all of that is talk to you specifically about the CARE4Method, where it came from, how I developed this, and how you can use it to improve your operations and honestly give you a little bit more peace of mind while you're tackling those tasks. You know, the other day I was scrolling through, I belong to a membership of childcare owners on social media. There's many platforms out there for that. And I would encourage you to get involved if you're a state or you have an association somewhere or something, and they have seen fit to create a platform on social media where you are free to go in and ask questions without fear of any repercussions. Because I know sometimes we worry a little bit. We want to ask the licensor a question, but then we're kind of like, is this going to get me written up for something? So these platforms are wonderful because you can go in and you can just ask questions. You can be transparent. You can just be yourself. You can even go in as an anonymous member if you would prefer to ask your question. And when I was in there the other day, I saw something from someone who said, I'm a new director. So they've never been a childcare director before. And they wanted to know, how do we keep track and stay on top of our daily, weekly, monthly tasks that we have to do? And they were describing, kind of the overwhelm that can come with that. And I don't know how many of us remember what it was like to first be in charge of a child care center, but my heart immediately went out to this new director. I could feel her pain. It brought back memories of tearful phone calls to my mentor about just various aspects of running a child care program. And for me, that was over 35 years ago. So what today seems like common knowledge, I love seeing posts like I did from this new director, because it reminds me that what we're doing here at Childcare Management Solutions and CARE4Method is so important, that there are newbies out there. There are people who are new to this. There are people who are still trying to provide care to the children in their communities, and they need our help. So the CARE4Method happened exactly as it did. In fact, I think my heart went out to this director who posted this question, because that was exactly where the CARE4Method came from. I was literally trying to figure out, how do I stay on top of my daily tasks, my weekly tasks, my monthly tasks, my quarterly tasks, my biannual tasks, and my annual it was just kind of, oh my gosh. And right down to the minutia of even like remembering to check the mail each day, so I was trying very hard to figure out how to stay on top of these things. And because I am a person who kind of has a tendency to capsulize things, it was easier for me to think about those tasks and those jobs in some kind of a way that sort of compartmentalized everything. And that's where the CARE4 method was born. It started out, honestly, it wasn't called the CARE4 method. It was my scratch sheet, and it started out as kind of a cross on a piece of paper. And in the upper left-hand quadrant was things like the families, the employees, the people part, the tasks that went along with all of the people part, and that it later came to include our program and the outreach to our community. But basically, it was who we were. That upper left quadrant was about who we were. And later it would become what I now call culture. It's the culture quadrant. And it has to do with your employees. It has to do with your customers. It has to do with your program, which affects your children, the students in your care. And then it has to do with your community, your program outreach. So that's culture. That's the culture quadrant. And that was the quadrant where I needed to be able to write down the tasks I needed to do that met the needs of everything in that quadrant. The administration quadrant, upper right-hand quadrant, administration, was for everything from licensing to staying on top of technology, but also it was about keeping a handle on the customer journey and the staff journey. All of that administrative part of making sure that, yes, they've been through this training. Yes, our customers were oriented to this. And yes, I checked off these boxes for licensing. And yes, this is the technology we're utilizing to stay on top of all of it. That all fell under administration. The lower left-hand quadrant became revenue, right? Because if we're not making any money, we're not serving anyone because we can't keep our doors open. So revenue matters, money matters, and we cannot do what we do without it. So revenue became the quadrant that I was able to address our tuition. I was able to address things like ancillary income. I was able to address all of the opportunities that we had, our state contracts for generating revenue. That became the revenue quadrant. And then finally, the lower right-hand quadrant was for expense. And that had to do with everything from payroll, our highest expense, right, to benefits, because those you cannot, and we'll talk about this in future podcasts to come and at our roundtables and trainings and so forth. But the benefits and the wages, they go together. And you have to help your employees understand that. It's what we call a weighted wage. It's what they're really earning, what it's really costing you to employ them. So under expense, we have the employee wages, we have their benefits. Then we have our administrative expenses or operating expenses. And that's just all of the things it takes to keep our doors open, right? And then we have our food program. And we've listed the food program separately in the expense quadrant because if you are on the USDA food program, and if you're not, I would encourage you to look into it. We will devote some other podcasts to that as well if you're not familiar with it. But the food program is kind of an animal all its own. So when you're thinking about your tasks and the things that you have to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, the CARE4 method allows you to do that because each quadrant has 4 pillars. If you think of a quadrant as a table, so take your quadrant and just kind of try to stand it up as a table, you would need 4 pillars to hold that table up. So in each quadrant, there are 4 pillars, and those are the pillars of that quadrant. So now, if you take this quadrant and you go across and you apply this to your monthly calendar, or we even have a CARE4 template that allows you to lay this out on a monthly basis, you will touch on all 16 pillars of all 4 quadrants every single month if you follow the CARE4 method. So you are going to say, make Monday your culture day, make Tuesday your administrative day, make Wednesday your revenue day, make Thursday your expense day, and you're going to leave Friday for focusing. You're going to leave Friday for catching up or for focusing, or down the road, hopefully, for some you time, because you have to have that. So when you take each pillar, so we say Monday is culture day. Okay, well, what do I do with that? Well, you take the first pillar on the first Monday of the month. On the second Monday of the month, you take the second pillar of culture. On the third Monday of the month, you take the third pillar of culture. And on the fourth Monday of the month, you take the fourth pillar of culture. And you do the same thing with Tuesday. The first Tuesday of the month is going to be the first pillar of the administrative quadrant. The second Tuesday is going to be the second pillar of the administrative quadrant. And no, I'm not going to tell you that you're going to easily remember these. This is why we have this in a template, and why you can even download a desktop for yourself where you can put your files, your to-do lists, all of the things that you save on your computer desktop. You can actually organize them into the CARE4 method right on your desktop. And we can teach you how to do that as well, but it's really pretty cool. We created a CARE4 method desktop screen. And then by making sure that you go into your computer program and you select the option that allows you to put your icons in your files and folders wherever you want, rather than having them snap to a grid that is formatted on your computer. You have the option to go in and tell your computer screen to stop doing that. Don't snap them all over here. I want to be able to drag and drop my files and folders wherever I want them on my computer screen. So what we've done is we've created this CARE4 method where you can literally, whatever files you're working on, if you feel like this has to do with culture, you can drop it in that culture box. If you feel like it's administrative, you can drop it in the administrative box. And then we have a cheat sheet for you that tells you what the 4 pillars of each quadrant are. So you have all 16 pillars right there in front of you. And you can absolutely create a task list based on the CARE4 method and making sure that you are touching on all of those quadrants. And I promise you, all of the tasks that you're doing, and I know we're all different. We all approach our tasks and the things that we do. We may not all run our programs identically, but I will promise you that using the CARE4 method, it is broad enough and generic enough that you will be able to find a place for each of the things that you need to stay on top of. And then the beauty of this is that if you use our digital planner, or if you just keep track, just keep a snapshot each month of what you did in those months, and each week of those months, and how you addressed each of the 4 quadrants and all 16 pillars within a given month, then you, by the end of the year, will have your entire plan for the upcoming year. So if you do that now and you get started now, a year from now, and you're doing this every single month, and you are applying the CARE4 method to your task creation, how you're developing your to-do lists and so forth, and you are applying the CARE4 method, you will, after a year, be able to just go back to that first month and say, okay, this is what we did in January of last year. These were all of the things, because in childcare, a lot of what we do is repetitive. A lot of what we do is date driven. So if you are utilizing the CARE4 method and you are applying the tasks and things that you have to do to culture, administration, revenue, or expense, and you are breaking those down into the tasks that you need to do, and you're utilizing that CARE4 board or CARE4 template, which you can, by the way, break down to as small as each day. You can literally break it down to a day. But if you're using it on a weekly basis, monthly basis, you will, over time, have your entire year planned out to where all you're going to be doing is tweaking things each year. Maybe you're going to do the Mother's Day lunch a little bit differently or whatnot, but Mother's Day lunch is still going to carry forward. It's going to be roughly the same time every year, right? And so you're going to have these things added to your calendar. And the beauty of this is that when we're talking about a team operated or a team managed program, which is how your childcare programs will thrive, then the beauty of the CARE4 method is that if you teach this to your team members, it will run without you. They will intuitively know what it is they have coming up each month. There doesn't have to be, you don't have to be the walking encyclopedia or the walking calendar that remembers that we have to do this and we do this every Mother's Day and we do this every Father's Day and so forth. You will have a system that will prompt your team to know, oh, we've got this going on. And then you can incorporate into that whatever methods you use to let them know, okay, how did we do the Mother's Day luncheon last year? What was our budget for it? Well, how did we handle it? How did we put out invitations? How, all of these things that is uniquely your program, you can have that in what we call a director planning guide. You can put that in there so then your team members can say, okay, we're in May, we're going to be doing a Mother's Day luncheon, and this is what we need to do. We're also going to be talking about whether or not we're open on Memorial Day. Maybe you probably close on Memorial Day. So we're going to need to remind the families that we close on Memorial Day. All of these things, by using the CARE4 method, are right there, front and center. And if you can get through the CARE4 method through 1 year, then literally your team will be able to just pick that up month after month and know what the expectations are, what those things, those daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, biannually, and annual tasks that you have to do. The CARE4 method works, and it helps you not be that walking encyclopedia, that person that you have it all up here. And how in the world do I get this out to my team? Yes, I want a team managed program. Yes, I would love it if I could take some time off once in a while and know that somebody else can handle it. Well, let me tell you something. Recently, my father had to have heart surgery. He's 86 years old. He's very active for his age. But he was feeling winded, and it turned out that he was in the start of congestive heart failure, and he needed to have a new heart valve, which we could do a whole podcast on that because it's pretty amazing how they do that these days. But he needed to have a new heart valve. And so for those weeks leading up to it and during his recovery, I was otherwise occupied, right? This was my dad, and I was here with him, and I wanted to be available to him. But I also knew that we had a USDA review coming up, and I was very concerned about being able to get time with my team because I knew I was not going to be able to be on site at the time of the review because I was with my father. And I will tell you that after months of using the CARE4 method and our team learning how to find resources, at one point when I said to them, okay, I think we're going to have to move this meeting, but I can still review with you right before the USDA person gets there, we can go over this. And one of the team members said, Debbie, we went to storage. We found the old USDA review notebooks. We knew that this was coming up. We've been planning for this. We've got this. You go and worry about your dad. We can handle this review. We don't need to go over anything with you ahead of time. We have your work. We have everything right here. And I cannot tell you how much that meant to me and how much it told me that the CARE4 method and a team managed program was the absolute best way to serve the students in our care. It blew my mind. Here I've been going along preaching this for the last few years and saying that we need to do this and teaching our team at our center how to do these things. And because I was so deep in the woods, it wasn't until I had a personal situation arise that I really recognized the value of the CARE4 method and of also developing a team managed program. I cannot tell you what it meant to me. I've talked a lot in the past about, having more time for yourself and self-care and developing a team managed program so that you could take better care of yourselves, because burning yourself out wasn't good for the students in your care or the families that you are serving or even the employees that are working for you. And while all of that is still true, the one thing that I never talked about was when you have a family member in need of your care, and you want to be there for them. I don't care if we're talking about your child's recital or soccer practice or soccer tournament or an 86-year-old father in need of heart surgery. But I am telling you that the CARE4 method, if you will apply this and if you will bring your team along, and we're going to help you do that here at Childcare Management Solutions and here on Care and Connect. We are going to talk about the ways that we can do that, but we're also going to spend some time talking about why it matters. Why? Because I'll tell you, I got the biggest why of my life the first quarter of this year. And I have to tell you, even before my father's situation, we had a cousin come and move in with us. She was going through chemotherapy. And while her move-in with us was only temporary, just for a couple of months, it still threw her for a loop. She was supposed to be moving to England to live with her son. And all of a sudden, she finds out she has this mass growth and they need to do chemotherapy. Now, she, like my father, is very active, very good at taking care of herself, very independent, but she needed a place during that transition. And that place was my home for 2 months. And then she finally got all of her ducks in a row. She had a place near her doctor's office. Her son had come from England to help get things situated for her. And so that was all falling into place. And she had moved into her own place. And then I'm telling you, I think it was maybe 3 days later that I get a call from my father saying, honey, I think I need to go to the emergency room. And when I took him to the emergency room, I was not prepared for what followed next, which was, I'm sorry, you're in congestive heart failure. We need to admit you to the hospital. And then it was weeks before they could do his surgery. I won't bore you with all of those details, but he had to go home. It involved a second trip to the ER and then eventually the surgery. And all of this time, first with the cousin, then with my dad, I'm involved, right? I have a cousin living in my home. And then, of course, I'm staying with my father through his needs. And we don't think that these things are ever going to happen to us. And we certainly don't think they're going to happen back to back, but it does. So this isn't just about self-care. I can't even imagine the basket case that I would have been had it not been for my team being able to step up and run the program so that I could worry about the people that I cared about while also making sure that I was taking care of myself, because honestly, I was no good to my cousin or my dad if I was driving myself into the ground, right? We can't help others when we can't even hold ourselves up. So this is where the CARE4 method, this is where a team managed program, this is where all of this matters so much. This is why I strongly encourage you to get involved, enroll with Childcare Management Solutions, select one of those tier levels based on where you're at in your program. If you have been in childcare a long time, come and join us as a coach. We are looking for empathetic people who know what it is to juggle childcare demands, running the program, dealing with rules and laws and legislation while trying to keep our own sanity and also take care of the people that we love and care about, the people that we're doing all of this for. If you join us, if you just start with downloading. You don't even have to join. You don't have to sign up for a membership or anything. Just go to Childcare Management Solutions and go to mychildcaremanagementsolutions.com or cms.help, I believe, will also get you there. Go there and just do yourself the favor of downloading the free CARE4 method template. And look at the little videos of this. We're going to offer you more of these videos. We're going to be talking a lot more about the CARE4 method, and we're going to be breaking it down into applicable things. We're going to show you how we actually apply the day-to-day operations of childcare to the CARE4 method and how that translates into a team-managed program. And we are going to also spend time in our roundtables talking about our pain points, talking about how we navigate the care and nurturing of the families in our community without neglecting our own families, and without neglecting ourselves. This is hugely important to childcare. You need to be able to take care of yourself in order to take care of others. And I will tell you that you cannot do it alone. And I know I've been there. I was the one who thought that everything was better as long as I was on site, right? That I could never go off site. I could never leave. And then through a series of events, I had to turn to my team to run the program. And I will tell you what, Our program is better because of it. We are a better childcare program, not because I'm there on site every day, because I'm not, but because not being on site forced me to utilize tools like the CARE4Method so that I could better support those who were on site, because what they wanted to do was support me. Everyone is doing their best. Everyone wants to support you as the owner or the director. And with the CARE4Method, you can let them. You can help them, and you can also start to have your own peace of mind so that you are healthy and you are available to the people you love and care about. Keep coming back here to Care and Connect. We have so much more to talk about. Go to our website, download that free CARE4Method template, sign up for our roundtables, join us, become a part of this community, learn how you can develop a team-managed program that will better serve your families so that you can better serve everyone. Have a great day, rest of your day. We're here coming to you today on Good Friday. I hope everyone has a wonderful Easter weekend if you celebrate Easter. And we are looking forward to seeing you again here on Care and Connect. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on this journey through this rewarding world of childcare leadership. Remember that we're all navigating this together. Whether you're feeling challenged or feeling motivated, know that when you take time to be the visionary of your program, you can elevate your center and ignite your passion. Until next time, I'm Debra Rinell, reminding you to take care of yourself with the same dedication you give to others.